And you're on.
Good evening, and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we're live from Studio Vanguard. We're linked in with the following repeaters. Are we following any repeaters?
We're following a long list of repeaters. So we're live tonight on Flagship, Watkinsville, Jersey, McDonough, Lula, Columbus, Toccoa, Rome, Peachtree, Noonan, Zebulon, Dallas, Ocala, Kates Cove, Lookout Mountain, White Oak, Fort Mountain, Ottawa, Mount Roosevelt, Chattanooga, and Georgetown.
Well, I don't see any blue ones. It looks like they're all up and running tonight, so that's fantastic. Welcome to the network. Tonight, our RF coverage encompasses approximately 41 tons of square feet. This net takes place every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. I would like to thank everyone who has made the North Georgia GMRS the most expansive and active GMRS network in the country. Your net control tonight is Atlanta 946, WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
Atlanta 947, WQIR 514. My name's Julie.
Atlanta 263, WSAL 368. My name is Rogers.
Atlanta 519, WRUB 711. My name is Gary.
And WRWM 344, Blue Ridge 63. My name is Mike.
It's a full house tonight. Let me break. On the net, you can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we'd like to hear. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Guest check-ins are welcome from anyone with a valid FCC call sign. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address other members of the net by their name or tactical unit number. Your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in and sign out of the net. Also, you can tune in to our YouTube channel and follow along, or even better, tune in after the net to watch your appearance on the network and hear exactly how you sound to us right here in Studio Vanguard. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment on the YouTube videos so we know that you're watching. These interactions mean the most to help our channel grow. Tonight's topic. Anybody know tonight's topic?
Yeah. Mobiles and base radios.
Yeah, you get an A for the quiz tonight.
Whoop, whoop.
So, mobile and base radio stations. We'll talk about a number of configurations for that. But first, let's hear this week's news and announcements.
All right. Again, this is WQIR 514 Atlanta 947 with this week's new news and announcements live from Studio Vanguard. So everybody break out your pens and pencils and get ready to write. The next West Side Luncheon will be February 8th at 11 a.m. at Taco Mac. The address is 2650 Dallas Highway, Suite 110, Marietta, Georgia 30064. Come join the Rabbit Hole Gang for some good food and fellowship. But please remember to RSVP to rabbithole@nggmrs.org so that they know how to plan. The Kennesaw Gathering will meet for lunch on February 11th at noon and will gather on every second Tuesday of each month at Old Town Tavern and Grill, located at 2500 Cobb Parkway Northwest, around the block from McCollum Airport. Please reach out to Ed, Atlanta 557, on the air or via email at wrqg806@gmail.com if you're planning to attend so that they have enough seats for all. The Peachtree Corners Brunch Bunch is February 15th. Will be the next brunch at JR's Log House Restaurant located at 6601 Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. Plan to join Pamela, Atlanta 849, and Ernest, Atlanta 848 on February 15th. Again, please RSVP to Skygazer Pamela 849 at gmail.com. Let me break. And the nets. The next Rabbit Hole net is Sunday, February 16th. Early check-ins are at 7 p.m. and the net begins at 7:30. The topic will be announced next week. The Ladies Roundtable net is the first Monday of the month. The next Ladies Roundtable will be March 3rd, starting at 7:30 and lasting until around 8:30 p.m. Don't worry about being too late or too early. Ladies, just take a seat at the table and let's chat. The topic will roll with the conversation. Tuesdays on the northern region of the network feature our Skywarn net. This is a training net for Skywarn weather spotters in coordination with the National Weather Service and is available only on the Chattanooga area of the North Georgia GMRS Network. Wednesdays features a short ERC net at 8 p.m. This is a roll call net and is closed to North Georgia GMRS members. This net is for ERC members only. Please refrain from checking into this net unless you are an ERC member. The regional net is on every Thursdays and covers a variety of topics. Early check-ins is at 7 p.m. with the regular program beginning at 7:30. Come experience the Friday night at 9 Simplex Challenge every Friday night starting at 8 p.m. on the Monument Repeater. Join your hosts, Dana, Atlanta 250, and Jonathan, Gainesville 58, and test your radio's reach in the world of Simplex. Also, for amateur license folks. Come join us every Friday evening for the new Friday night at 9 2-meter simplex challenge on the N4K HQ repeater at 146.835 megahertz starting at 7:30 p.m. This net is for amateur license folks only. Your hosts, Jonathan, Gainesville 58, and Mark, Rome 12, will guide you in a directed net testing VHF frequencies and more. We hope to hear you there. Let me break. The Chattanooga Amateur Radio Club continues to offer free classes and workshops on a variety of topics. For those interested in obtaining their ham radio license, there are now multiple licensing classes available for all levels: technician, general, and extra. Check their website at w4am.net for the new list of classes and workshops. Be sure to register at www.w4am.net. We visited their classroom facility and would encourage all to check it out and learn more about radio and ways to apply it in our various activities. Let me break. Also, the 43rd Annual Dalton Ham Fest is coming on February 22nd. It's 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. There is a $5 entry fee at the door. North Georgia Ag Fairgrounds is where it's located, which is at 500 Legion Drive, Dalton, Georgia, 30721. For those of you who are also licensed hams, the Publix Atlanta Marathon is coming up on Sunday morning, March 2nd, and the Atlanta Aries Coordinator is looking for a number of additional volunteer amateur radio operators to be stationed out on the course, either at various water stops to monitor and report conditions back to race command, or to ride in one of the sag wagons, helping to coordinate picking up injured or exhausted runners from the course. If you're interested in helping, please reach out to our own Atlanta 26 Flip, either over our network, or you can send an email to Justin at nggmrs.org, and he'll forward that to Flip. That's it. If you have any questions, comments, or news to share, please send an email to Justin at NGGMRS.org. We are North Georgia GMRS Network. And that's all I have for announcements.
All right. Well, that's quite a list. I have a question.
Oh boy.
Of
course you do.
Well,
You're not listening.
Talking about the Publix the Publix Atlanta Marathon. What is a sag wagon?
Well, that's a very good question, and honestly, I don't know.
I don't know either. But Flip is hanging out here, so we'll come to Flip here in a little bit, and we can ask Flip what a sag wagon is. I had another question. What was my other question?
I have no idea. What's your other question?
Yeah.
Toss it out there.
I should have made a note.
Yeah, you should have had your pen and paper out.
I forgot. Well, you did make mention that we should have. So for those of you that didn't get a pen and paper out, you can go back and watch the YouTube replay to catch all of these important announcements and the ones that aren't so important too. All right. With that, do we have tips tonight?
We do have tips tonight. Are you ready for tips?
I think that's the next on our thing of things to do.
All
so let's break and go to Julie for Julie's tips.
Goodness. It's not working.
Do we need to stall for a minute while you figure out the teleprompter?
I think we do. It's not playing.
Oh, so do you have to open up the correct file for?
I did.
Oh, and it's still not playing.
It's not playing. We have gremlins going on here tonight.
Well, move out of that paragraph and into a different paragraph, and then try to move back to that paragraph. So, and that might get you back to the beginning.
Wow.
And let it fire.
There we go.
All right.
I think we're on.
Julie's tips. Take it away.
Again, this is WQIR 514. My name is Julie, and I am Atlanta 947 with this week's new user tips and operating procedures segment. So this week we'll talk about base and mobile radios. UHF base radios are uncommon and can be hard to find. While writing this episode, I found a Motorola Astro XTL 5000 base station at bmisurplus.com for $250. Another search found a Realm desktop base station on eBay. These are used Part 90 radios and have not been manufactured for ages. Most search results for base radios will come back with a mobile radio mounted in an enclosure, often including a power supply that converts household AC to a DC voltage common to most automobiles. Hobbit Communications offers a base radio that is simply an NX1800 mobile radio in an enclosure with a very nice Samlex power supply. The NX1800 also serves as an excellent mobile radio. You'll find that modern base stations are universally Part 90 or Part 95 mobile radios mounted in an enclosure with a power supply. It's a convenient and compact form factor that fits nicely on a desk, countertop, or toolbox and can be powered from a convenient power outlet in your home. We have one in our barn where many projects are born, and we have one in Studio B, which is currently under construction at the back of our property. Base radios are super easy to configure and are typically defined as a base because they're not moved around but operate in a fixed position. As we discussed, mobile radios are often the same radios we might use for a base. Again, the Kenwood NX1800 is a great choice and will serve well for that role. In fact, there are many radios that can perform well as base radios, but over and over again, we hear our members' frustration in consumer-grade radios that work very well at first, but degrade in their performance over time. Hearing that frustration play out over and over again is why Hobbit Communications was created. Hobbit's mission is to provide high-quality, high-performance GMRS radio equipment to the members of North Georgia GMRS Network and to GMRS users everywhere while keeping costs as low as possible. Let me break. Another way to get a great radio while keeping costs down is to search for used Part 90 radios online. There are still many good used Part 90 Kenwoods, Motorola's, ICOMs, and many other brands of commercial grade radios. Why are these radios preferred? Well, many of these workhorses have already served a lifetime in the field, working in school buses, dump trucks, police cars, or any industry where reliable communications is important. These fleets often upgrade to the newest technology and features before these radios expire. In the general service we place our equipment in, these machines will perform well and last a very long time. In any case, whether a brand new radio with a 3-year warranty from Hobbit Communications or a good used Part 90 radio from anyone else, these machines are preferred for the North Georgia GMRS network because of their high performance and superior sound quality on the network. Many users start out with inexpensive radios. We certainly did. But as we learned and worked to improve our stations, we learned that Part 90 radios are superior for use in GMRS, and that's all we use now. These are just a few of the preferred practices of North Georgia GMRS members, and these procedures are how we become the best operators on the nation's largest, most advanced linked repeater network. And remember, if you have any questions or suggestions for new user tips and operating procedures, send me a note at julie@ngGMRS.org. Again, we are North Georgia GMRS Network. And I'm going to give it back to Net Control.
All right. Well, thank you for those tips. Are you gonna bail out of here then?
Well, I think I need to so that Mike has a place to sit.
We do have to make room in here,
yes,
don't we?
Yes, we do.
We often thought if we just had another chair in here, but where would we put it?
Well, not only that, but where are we going to put another computer?
Right. So we might have to set up another workstation outside of Vanguard. Yeah. But for the meantime, thanks for coming and hanging out with us, and
Absolutely.
for the announcements and the tips and all the other stuff. And stick around; we might find out what a sag wagon is.
Oh, I'm going to be listening.
All right then. Okay. Well, thank you, Julie. Good night.
Good night.
And we'll bring Mike into the chair. And so with that, let's go ahead. Well, we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. Mike's going to have to shuffle some screens around and get ready to log again.
Shuffle some screens and catch up on the YouTube chat.
But, well, you know, and I saw just briefly, I saw somewhere in a YouTube chat, you know, the very best kind of radio
What's that?
is, because, I mean, we're talking about
The one you have with you?
We're talking, well, that is the second best. All right.
Oh, okay.
There's one that's even better than that.
A free radio?
There's a comment. There's a comment in the YouTube chat about a birthday radio.
A birthday radio?
Is that not the best?
Oh, yeah, I would say so.
I mean, at that point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, it could be a boofwang. How do you say that?
I think you got it.
Was that right?
Boofwang.
The whooshy radio.
Yep.
It could be any of those radios. If it's a birthday radio, that's the best.
That's right.
But if it were a birthday Kenwood radio, oh man, then you got good family. Then
You've got very generous family.
yeah. So I like it. You know, all the radios around here belong to Julie. So I'm kind of blessed in the fact that I get to use a wide range of radios. But she is a fan of Kenwood radios. There is that one Moto radio up there at the Tiki Bar. But we do love the Kenwood radios around here. What do you think, Mike? You ready for some logging?
I am ready. We should take some check-ins.
All right. We're going to start off with Zello check-ins. If you're using a radio to check in, please hold your traffic. If you're using an iPhone or an Android phone to make your Zello check-in, this is your opportunity. Please be patient. If you hear a long pause, it's because we're trying to get some Zello check-ins in. So hold your radio traffic. Zello check-ins only, please. Oh, timed out.
Oh,
I guess I timed out. So we're looking for Zello check-ins. Zello check-ins only. Now, control standing by for Zello check-ins. Zello was slow to start earlier.
Mm-hmm. Took a minute.
Okay, well, we're waiting for Zello folks to key in. Mike's going to try to jam some YouTube check-ins in here. So I'm going to buy him some time and see if he can get caught up on some YouTube check-ins. I'm going to go to the air one more time here while we buy Mike a little bit of time to catch up on some YouTube check-ins in log. But at the same time, we are looking for Zello check-ins. We're going to hold the YouTube check-ins. We're going to hold the RF check-ins here for just a little bit. and see if we can get some Zello check-ins in and buy a little bit of time so Mike can catch up on some YouTube check-ins here in the log. Zello check-ins only, please.
Control.
I'll get him. You stay focused.
Control, if you would check in WRTS 814, it's Toccoa 33 tonight. Be checking in and out tonight. We'll be listening for a bit too. Have a good night.
All right, we've got Toccoa 33. Matthew and Pickens is in and out tonight by way of Zello. And let me go ahead and acknowledge some of these YouTube check-ins while we're right here. We've got guest check-in from WRYQ 727. Is that what it usually is? Seems like we're missing something there.
727, yes.
It's 727. That's Miko from upstate New York is a YouTube check-in. We have, is that why it was?
Yeah, it was a little too skinny.
WRWB802, Larry from Colorado, a YouTube check-in tonight. We have WSFA441, Columbus 31 is a YouTube check-in. Thanks, Don, for that. Atlanta 830, Arthur in Dawsonville is a YouTube check-in. Chattanooga 190, Clifford in, I'm going to get this wrong. Let me try it. Culleoka,
You got it.
Tennessee. Clifford is in and out on YouTube. We have Blue Ridge 64. Side Salad is in and out on YouTube. Atlanta 557. Professor Ed Fong from Kennesaw is in and out on YouTube tonight. McDonough 45 Kai is back and large. We've got Kai back from McDonough on YouTube, in and out. And of course, we did hear Toccoa 33 Matthew and Pickens on the Zello check-in. Atlanta 130 Tom in Ackworth is in and out on YouTube. Atlanta 355 Damon in Canton, also YouTube check-in. Atlanta 95 Lester in Alajay, a YouTube check-in. Atlanta 927 Connie in Buford is a YouTube check-in. And WSDW299 Sam is a guest check-in on YouTube. Those are the check-ins we have at this time. We're going to continue with check-ins from any repeater other than Flagship. That includes Zello check-ins, and of course we'll keep plugging in the YouTube check-ins as they come in. So, Mike's going to do his best to keep one eye on logs and one eye on the YouTube chat, and we'll try to bring your.
That's all I got.
To the air. That's all. You just
one eye on either one.
All right.
I don't have a choice.
Net control standing by.
Have you heard of call sign starting with M?
119,
MSCU 900.
Let's Google that real quick. MSCU.
This is WSDL 879, Atlanta 39, checking in and out.
MSCU 900.
Yeah.
No matches found.
Okay.
So the ULS says that's bogus.
This is WRK
That sounds
today,
like a chat
453.
69.
Chattanooga 69, checking in and out. This is Ronnie and Ross of Vegas. Have a good night, guys.
This is WRXM 345, Gainesville 43. David checking in from Winder. Checking out.
Don't read Jim Chat 84. He checked in earlier, but he wants to be moved later in the log.
All right.
So I just pulled him down.
Oh, he's in there again?
Well, I deleted him up top and moved him down to the bottom. He wanted a later spot.
All right. All right, Net Control is going to go ahead and acknowledge we have Noonan 119, Jim in Noonan, in and out. Of Gainesville 43, David in Winder is in tonight. Atlanta 39, Jeff in Austell, in and out. Chattanooga 69, the Velvet Elvis from Las Vegas is in and out. And that's what we have. We're going to go ahead and take additional check-ins from any repeater anywhere, including the flagship machine. Net Control. Well, let me go ahead and grab one more here. We have, by way of YouTube, we have Gainesville 26. Jay in Flowery Branch checking in on YouTube. With that, any repeater anywhere, including flagship, Net Control standing by.
He came back. He had a typo.
This is WROB 245, Atlanta 849. Pamela in Duluth is in, and Atlanta 848, Ernest is in and out in Duluth.
Was Pamela in or in and out?
She's in. He's in and out.
Okay, that's what I got.
All right. Robert Aronson, WSCU 900. That checks out. What do you think?
I think that was a good round. Sounds like it's quieted down.
All right, we're going to go ahead and acknowledge this round of check-ins. We have WSCU 900, Bob from Las Vegas, a YouTube check-in. We also have Atlanta 849, Pamela from Duluth. I've got you shown as in, and Atlanta 848, Ernest in also in conveniently Duluth, in and out. Those are the check-ins we have at this time. If you didn't get a chance to check in, we will take one more round of final check-ins after we get through the roster. But for now, I think we're going to head to the top. And before we do that, I'd like to get an answer to a question. So if Atlanta 26 can sit still for a minute and clue me in. The burning question is, maybe you know, Rogers, do you know what a sag wagon is?
I do not know. I actually just looked it up and saw it online, but previously, no, I've never really heard of a sag wagon.
Okay, all right.
That's with a G?
Yeah, with a G. So, I mean, I can imagine what I think it might be, and that's pretty humorous, but but that's, you know, because let's face it, if there's a marathon and I'm running, it's probably not because of a marathon. It's probably because something's on fire.
Or something's chasing you.
You know, something's chasing me, something along that. But, I mean, you're not going to see me running on purpose. I've walked a few 5Ks, and I'm good with that. But if you see me running, there's a problem.
That would be not a sag wagon. That would be a hearse, right? That would possibly be a hearse.
Are you talking about rent-a-cars?
That's the one, right?
Yeah, that could very well be a hearse. I don't know, but in any case, let's see if Atlanta 26 can tell us the truth about a sag wagon. Flip, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You know, when we'll put you on the wagon. No, it actually gets its name Bicycle World, bicycle races. SAG stands for Supply and Gear Wagon, which is usually the vehicle in the back of the race that has lots of stuff to fix your bike and whatever, but also picks up bicyclists now and then who sag. And so the running world kind of picked up on that, and that's what we call it. But it's really the vehicles, circling around the race and or at the back that pick you up when you just can't quite make it to the finish line. You know what I mean?
Well, I can imagine that there are a number of people that probably start off maybe a little more with a little more ambition than perhaps they should, and run out of steam before they get to the end. Now, is this a true marathon? How long of an event is this?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely a marathon. 26.2 miles or whatever that is. I should know that by heart, but yeah, it's I think it's 40K, I believe. But yeah, it's a marathon. There is a half marathon at the same time. The half marathoners just finish, and the marathoners keep going. So yeah, it's a marathon.
And I think that's maybe the same concept I've seen at some 10K races, where the 10K is just the 5K course, twice. So in 5K, what is 5K? Is that's like 3.1 miles, I believe. Does that seem like that's right, Flip? Do you know?
Yes, sir. 3.1, and then 6.2 for 10K, and on up. So yeah, it's 26. I'm just looking it up. It's 42.2 kilometers long, actually. But I don't know. It goes back to the distance between Sparta and Athens or something in Greece when they ran the first marathon. I don't know what the actual cities were, but that's basically where it came from.
Well, I can do a 3-mile walk, but to do a 6.25 mile walk, I don't know. I don't know if they make a cheeseburger that's going to get me to walk 6 miles. Maybe there is. I 3 miles is pretty doable, but the 10K, I'm probably check me out on that one. Unless you've got a golf cart for me to ride around on, then maybe I can do the 10K. But even with a golf cart, I don't think I have a marathon in me.
Holly has a golf cart you can use.
Oh yeah, if we could, yeah.
Atlanta 256.1.
Yeah, she just have to have Chuck deliver it.
Yeah, by way of relay, of course.
Right, by way of relay. Well, very good, very good. That's a lot of information. Does anybody else have any marathon-related questions for Flip?
Nope.
All right. Well, we learned what a sag wagon is, and we learned how far a 5K is in real miles. He talked about 42 kilometers for a marathon. That's way too far. 26 miles is one thing, but 42 kilometers, forget about it. No way. I'm sure there's people listening right now that are thinking that's a piece of cake. I could do that, and I'm very glad that you can. But no, there's no way I'm doing 42 miles, 42 kilometers, or 26 miles. But it should be a good event, and if there's anyone in the group that's interested in spectating, in being a safety spotter, and helping out, if you've got your amateur license, we are looking for volunteers. You can go and you can represent North Georgia GMRS, even though you're operating in amateur, probably with a 2-meter radio and whatever repeater they're going to be using for that area and that event. It's a great opportunity to serve your community, and it's a great opportunity to play radio for a cause. So I hope that many of the North Georgia GMRS audience members will step up and either reach out to Flip directly over the air, or you can send an email to me and I'll forward that to Flip. That email address would be justin@nggmrs.org. Let me break. Flip, did I leave anything out that needs to be conveyed regarding the upcoming marathon? What's the date on that event?
So it's Sunday, March 2nd, and not for the faint of heart because it starts very, very early in the morning.
That's the other problem I have.
And so you got to be aware
Count
of that.
you out,
And
huh?
in all transparency, know that it's very early. So if you want to volunteer, we'd love to have you. Anybody with a 2-meter HT is welcome to join. They use the repeater that is they commandeer the Atlanta Radio Club repeater, which is on top of the Bank of America Plaza building in Midtown there, and the race is all around kind of downtown and further a little bit south. It would be great to have some of our folks who have ham licenses come on out with their HT and help out. Like I said earlier, you can man a water station, which is very helpful because then they can check in with you and make sure everything's going, and if they run out of supplies or something, you can radio back and request more supplies, etc. And then also the people in the vehicles that are helping out, pick up injured runners or exhausted runners or whatever, they need a ham radio person to ride along with them to communicate with everybody. So yeah, it would be great to have anybody that wants to help. So come on. Thanks.
All right. Well, and it should be a lot of fun too to just to be a spectator of an actual marathon. I don't know where the start and finish line is for the event, but I've been at some of the 10Ks, and the excitement during the start and during the finish is it's really fun space. It's a fun energy to be in. So just go on down and be a spectator.
You know what you could do if you were really motivated, but not to run, but you could go to the Dalton Ham Fest the weekend before, and you could take your test for your technician license, and then you could help flip at the marathon the following weekend. You'd have to be really motivated.
No, that's good,
but it could be done
because
it could be done.
The Dalton Ham Fest is on February 22nd, and I don't know how this works, but isn't there a way that you can get a free salad at the Dalton Ham Fest?
I have heard things about that in years past. I think they're doing it again.
All right. We'll have to explore the free salad at some other time, but that's a great suggestion. Get your amateur license.
I think Rogers is going to.
I am. I'm going for it.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I'm going for
you
it.
are doing it, right?
I am.
Well, there you go, Flip.
Studying right now.
He has spoken it. It will happen.
It will.
All right. So Rogers is going to be your first recruit for the. He's over there looking at me like, what are you talking about?
Provided that I pass.
You're going to pass. You're going to pass.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Let's break and let's start off with our roster. All right. Let's see if McDonough 22 has sufficiently recovered from the flu to be able to come on and talk to us about base radios. And the conversation tonight is really, kind of a hybrid of base and mobile radios because for most of us, they are the same thing. A base radio is just simply a mobile radio that's been attached to a power supply in some way that can plug into the wall and provide power for a mobile radio to be installed at home. That's really the simplicity of that. And what's beautiful about that is if your circumstances change, you have a radio that has multiple capabilities. You can always take the radio from that base station configuration and put it in a vehicle, put it on a golf cart so that you can run around a marathon. You can put it on your side-by-side. You can put it in your Jeep to go out four-wheeler. When you get back, you can install that radio back in your base station. So I really like the idea of using a mobile radio for a base radio. Tim, do you have any plans of taking your base radio out on your four-wheel drive and doing some off-roading? All right. Well, Tim has probably bored him to death with all of my chatter, and he he's dropped out. So we're going to go ahead and show Tim as in and out and continue on tonight. Our next entry is Atlanta 148. Chris incoming. Chris, do you have any comments for the net tonight about base or mobile radios? I thought I heard something there just as I stepped on the BTT, but maybe not. We'll go ahead and show Chris as in and out. And that brings us to, oddly enough, Atlanta 26 Flip in the beautiful Druid Hills, who is in and in. Flip, do you have any comments tonight about base or mobile radios? What kind of rig are you running?
You know, one thing I did recently, it was last year, but I went to, somebody on the net actually recommended this, and it worked really great. I went to Goodwill and bought an old pair of computer speakers that have the regular, I don't know what you call that modular plug, but the plug that plugs into the back of these base radios. And I have a separate speaker system for my base radio now. And before I had been using kind of a splitter and working it through the computer speakers and stuff, but now I have my own base radio speaker set, sub speakers, and they're great. They work out really well. So I like having a base radio at home. I never understood why you would use a mobile as your base, but then as you get into it, you realize that that's about the best option you got. So also, Justin, I wanted to say, if she's listening, to Atlanta 947, I just wanted to wish her a happy birthday. I'm sorry we missed it. I listened for her on the radio on Sunday on her birthday, but I never heard anybody from your group out there chiming in, so I didn't get a chance to say it. But if she's listening, I want to say happy birthday.
Oh, very good. I'm sure she's listening, and she's not within sight of me here at the moment, but I'm sure she's listening. She had a very good birthday on Sunday. We were at the Tech Fest on Saturday, and but Sunday we spent the day here at the house with family, and we did come outside for a little while just to see if she could see her shadow, and that was part of the ritual for the day. But in any case, there will be 6 more weeks until spring, so we'll have to bear that in mind. But yeah, she had a fabulous birthday. I'm sure she appreciates the birthday wishes, and yeah, we're probably going to do it again next year. I think that overall the day was a success. I think that's the plan. So we got anniversary coming up on Valentine's Day, and then my birthday a couple of days after that. So
it's a busy time of year for y'all.
Yeah, it is. I think for my birthday, I'm going to go dismantle a carport.
Oh, you're going? Okay, yeah.
I think that's going to be my birthday plan.
Yeah.
So.
Is your birthday that day?
No, but it's that weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say I think it's the next day.
Yeah. So, but in any case, we should have a good time. It's fun. Projects like that are always fun. So, looking forward to that. But. Yeah, the speaker idea, that's a good idea, actually. And if you can get a decent speaker, and probably you can. I was recently at a thrift store here, and I picked up an Anchor stage monitor powered speaker. It's got a little 4 or 5 inch driver in it, and probably a 25 watt amplifier. And I've used them in the past, and they are ridiculously loud. But they are also ridiculously distorted when you play them loud.
Anything like a JBL?
No, the worse. But what they're really good for at moderate volume levels, you can place that. It's a speaker that mounts on top of a microphone stand really, really well. And it's not very big. So we call them spot monitors. And so for a vocalist that needs to be able to hear some of the instrumentation but not the whole band, you can use that spot monitor, and they can hear the thump coming off the kick drum or things like that. But if you just can't put the whole band in there, because it won't play well. But it'll let them hear themselves and hear some cue for timing and for them to know where they're at with things. So you might see these little spot monitors on microphones. Well, you used to. Probably today you won't see that because so many people use in-ear monitors. But you used to see things like that at stadiums where it's impractical to bring out a full-size monitor, but somebody would bring out the spot monitor and set it right beside the mic stand, pointing at the performer. Anyway, I bought one of those for $10, and I haven't used it for anything yet. But
how does it compare to your Taylor Swift in-ear monitor?
Well, the Taylor Swift microphone is just a microphone. It's not an in-ear at all.
Okay.
But the nice thing about the Taylor Swift microphone, it doesn't really have to work because the whole lip sync thing.
Yeah, you just exactly. You just press play.
Right. So good stuff. All right, with that, speaking of Taylor Swift, let's go to Atlanta 403. Bobby at the Vortex. The conversation that we had earlier was trying to decide if Bobby is at the Vortex and Joe is in Cleveland. Is Cleveland the Vortex or is Vortex Cleveland?
Yeah.
And how can you tell the difference? Bobby, do you have any comments?
Yeah, it's got to do with that whole space-time continuum thing, and the future is the past, past is the future, and that's the vortex sucks you in. But
I think there's a Schrodinger's cat reference in there somewhere.
Obviously. But now what was I going to say? Oh yeah, happy birthday, Julie! I didn't know it was your birthday. I would have said happy birthday at TechFest on Saturday if we had known it was your birthday. But yeah, what questions do you have for me?
Can you transmit on your base radio, or does that only monitor?
No, it transmits. I just get a lousy signal at night. That's why you never hear me at night. And that's why I come over and do the net here over at Joe's, because he gets such a good signal. Because he's on the west side of the county, and I'm on the east side of the county, in there behind Mount Yonah. But those ICOMs, they do a good job. They transmit good, and I got one in the house and one in the truck, and two different models. But they do a good job. I'm a big ICOM fan, and someday I'll get that lifetime free tower that's cost me $1,000 sometime up in the air, and maybe things will change, and you'll actually hear me at night once in a while from the house.
Oh yeah, speaking of free tower, it looks like you've got a tower project coming up
very soon.
So the horizontal portion of it is Sunday?
Sunday we're doing the horizontal portion of it, yes.
And some other day we'll be doing the vertical portion of it. And it's not exactly a free tower, but
no, it's not a free tower, but it's a good deal on a tower, and it helps Mr. Pete. So
excellent. Well, glad to hear that, and excited to. I really like the visual of the horizontal tower, and
well, you're welcome to come on Sunday.
I think you need. I think I might. It's supposed to rain, so I'm probably going to be a spectator.
Oh boy.
But, a soggy. I don't want to be a soggy tater. I'll just be a spectator.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy.
But I like the visual of the horizontal tower. So I think we need some good photography related to the horizontal portion of the project, so that when the vertical portion of the project comes around, we have that A/B reference.
The before and after.
I think that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Bobby, when it's time for you to get your tower from the horizontal state to the vertical state, again, I think that's a great opportunity for pictures. How tall is your horizontal tower?
Mine? Well, 3 sections of row 25.
About a foot high. So horizontally, it's about a foot high?
Oh yeah, well it's laying on the ground, yeah, it's only about a foot high, yeah. But once it gets up, it'll be 30 feet plus 2 feet at the base, and another 2 feet at the topper, and then probably 8 or 10 foot of mast sticking out of it.
That'll work. That'll work.
All right, we'll see if we can get that above the roof line and maybe over the top of the ridge line behind the place there, and possibly even into one of the repeaters. But truthful, I think if we were telling the truth, it's not that you have better repeater access at Joe's place. It's because it's better food. Am I telling the truth?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm a single guy. I hate cooking. These two over here know how to cook like you wouldn't believe. So here I am on Thursday nights, unless I'm sick or I'm iced in with a storm or something. I'm over here on Thursday night.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I don't blame you, Bobby.
Right. Yeah, I think in those shoes I'd be doing much the same thing. So good stuff. All right. Well, with that, let's continue on. Next on the list, high atop Mount Olympus, we have Atlanta 250. Dana, what are you using for a base station? I'm guessing probably most of the time your base station is one you can carry around on your belt clip. That didn't sound like Dana.
Well, first and foremost, good evening to you all over there at Vanguard. And, I'm still smiling about the soggy tater comment. But, hey, I got an idea for you that takes the place of a tower. Just buy a place on top of a mountain.
Yeah.
You don't need a tower.
Yeah.
So let me break. You are right, Justin. Primarily, most of the time, I am on a Anytone 878 from my recliner or the kitchen or somewhere in the house.
Must be nice.
But tonight and for the Friday night at 9 stuff, I'm up here on a Kenwood 8180H, and I sort of go back and forth to another Kenwood 8180HK. And, I have some other backups to that are staring me in the face. So I think I'm pretty well equipped when it comes time to base stations. Back to you guys.
Have you seen pictures that Dana's posted on the Facebook page about with his command center? He looks like he could talk to, well, darn near anybody.
I spend most of my Facebook time declining requests to be a member without answering questions.
Oh, I saw that, like 4-1.
Yeah. It's just so ridiculous how many of those come, and I've heard a number of explanations as to why they may be coming, and it's all plausible. People are being invited, or it's because of Facebook recommendations. People get recommended to come to this web page, this Facebook page. But the silly algorithm doesn't tell them to go to the beginning of the line and answer the questions. I can't tell if that's the case or if that's somebody, that just doesn't care to answer the questions, or I can't see that. Those optics aren't there for me. So it's a little bit of a frustration that I have, because every time I decline somebody, I wonder, is this somebody that really would benefit from learning about what GMRS is, from our page? Because, and it's the other thing I'd like to point out, the North Georgia GMRS Facebook group, for those of you that are opposed to Facebook, and there are a lot of reasons why you might be, and they're valid reasons, all right? I wouldn't argue that point. But the environment on our Facebook page is different. I don't know why, it just is. People will ask the same question that's been asked 13 times over the last 2 weeks. And when that happens on other pages, can't you use the search function? Didn't you know, this has already been. We don't do any of that here, and it's not because of somebody that's really directing or funneling or cleaning out or moderating the channel. It's just that same silly question gets asked over and over again, and it gets straightforward and informative answers. Let me break. And it's almost completely organic. The amount of moderation that we do on the Facebook page is so minimal. Every now and then somebody goes off the deep end and their comments are out of line, or they're argumentative in their nature, and if that goes on for too long, I'll go in and remove comments, or I'll delete a post, or whatever it takes to clean that up, because that's not the image that we want to portray, and it's not the attitude that I want people to feel like when they come here to our Facebook page. So, but I mean, months go by between those kind of events. I literally don't do much in the way of moderation on our Facebook page. So that's why I agonize so much over everything that I decline.
It's a pretty pretty good self-regulating group of folks.
Well, there's just something about the GMRS community here in North Georgia that brings out, some better element of people. I don't want to say that we're better than other people, but the behavior and the camaraderie and the helpfulness and the family atmosphere is just more natural for some organic reason. It's not because it's being manipulated or controlled. It just happens that way. So that's pretty cool stuff. And as far as buying a mountaintop property so that you don't have to put up a tower.
Yeah. Dana, I have to put up a tower because the property that I bought, although in the mountains, is behind a mountain, which just across the road is a large ridge that goes up. I put the drone up in the air to try to figure out how high it is, and I think it's about 150 feet. And
so what you're saying is your property's kind of in a bowl?
It's in a bowl. It's in a cereal bowl, just like Uncle Mike.
A salad bowl.
It's in the salad bowl.
All right.
And I'm getting tongued.
You're getting tongued. Oh, very good. All right, Dana. Well, did you have anything else for us tonight?
Well, feeding in a conversation just then, you can buy a property on top of a mountain, but there are always bigger mountains. So I know exactly what Mike is talking about. Right behind me, I got Springer Mountain. That is equal to where Flagship sits. And the Blue Ridge Repeater is maybe 3 miles, 4 miles away from me. Can't hit it worth of nothing. So still have some disadvantages. But that's all I got, guys. Have a good night.
Oh, very good, Dana. Well, I appreciate the sentiment. Yeah, I suppose there's always a bigger mountain, and that's just one of the realities of life. So, all right, with that, we're going to continue on. Next in our roster is Gainesville 43, David in Winder. David, did you have any comments for tonight's discussion about base or mobile radios? All right, we're going to show Gainesville 43 as in and out and continue on with the program. But, just for a moment, I want to go ahead and talk about some of the differences that we've seen in Part 95 radios versus Part 90 radios. I'm a big fan of the Part 90 radios because of the heavy-duty way that so many of them are built. And even when you purchase a used radio, you can expect just a tremendous amount of life. Out of that radio. I've had some Part 90 radios that have been significantly disappointing. I've got a couple of radios that are just dead in a box that,
well, that's because you bought them and Julie didn't.
there may be something to that.
Julie's radios all work.
They do seem to all work. Yeah, there may be something to that. But one thing you do get out of the Part 95 radio is they're pretty easy to program for the most part. A lot of these radios can be programmed with chirp. Let me break. A lot of these radios can be programmed with chirp. Some of them are programmable with a more proprietary, but typically free software. A lot of them can be programmed with readily available programming cables, and sometimes that cable can work in several different radios. So, there's the economy that you gain from A, being able to program your radio yourself, and B, the convenience of changing that programming, pretty much at will. So that's nice to have. And it's nice to have that flexibility. Part 90 radios can be a lot more challenging to program. At least some of them are. There are a handful of Part 90 radios that can be programmed with chirp, but they're not very common. So
I think you said that backwards. I think you said Part 90 at the beginning could be programmed with tweet or chirp. I mean,
yeah, there's just a few that can.
A few.
But for the most part, Part 95 radios are readily programmable with
Part
chirp.
95.
Most of them are. But in any case, the performance that we get out of these Part 90 radios, even an old one, they have a nice robust sound about them, unless you put a cheap microphone on them. And they just perform so rock solid from day in, day out. And, I've got radios that are mounted, 3 radios that are mounted outdoors. The Studio B radio is technically outdoors because that building isn't really closed in yet. But I have a radio in a barn right here behind Studio Vanguard. In fact, with the door open, we're able to hear that radio, and it kind of gives us a sanity check to know that we're on the air. And there's also a radio mounted outside in the Tiki Bar, and those Part 90 radios just take the elements very, very well. That Motorola that's up there at the Tiki Bar has been rained on a handful of times, so doesn't seem to care. But good stuff. With that, let's continue on. And next we have Chattanooga 84, Jim in Hickson. Jim, do you have any questions or comments for the net? We're talking about mobile and base radios.
WRKK629, Chattanooga 84. Thanks, Justin. I'm kind of like the rest of you guys. I have Kenwoods. I'm on a TK8180 right now. And, the idea of a base station with a built-in power supply seems to be lost on the radio manufacturers, because almost every one of them, even the high-end one, the Flex, they all require external 12 volts. It's not a big deal, but it's just not everything's all in one. So, and I know Gary's got a setup for the new Kenwood radio with a power supply built into it, and it's all it's in the same, they're on top of each other, I guess, and that's convenient. So, other than that, I don't think I've got anything else to add.
Y'all doing today?
Well, very good stuff, Jim. And that configuration of a single enclosure with a power supply and a radio in it is super convenient, because you don't have near the mess of wires to contend with. So your power supply wiring is all self-contained within that enclosure. So you still end up with a microphone cord, and you end up with an antenna cable and a power cord that plugs into the wall. But that's a lot simpler than positive, negative, down to wherever your power supply might be, and then it's just a neater looking install. And you're right, Hobbit Communications does have a real nice rig with a Samlex power supply and an NX1800 radio mounted in the same enclosure. And I have seen a handful of versions of both Motorola and Kenwood radios in a similar fashion, where I've seen it as simple as somebody has taken just a regular power supply and attached a mounting bracket to the top of it and fixed the radio into the mounting bracket like you would if you were mounting it in a vehicle. It can be simple like that. It's a little more crude, but it gets the job done, and it keeps everything contained and attached and neat, and it's easy to clean and keep it dusted. And the speaker has plenty of air around it so that it can play well and sound nice. So lots of options, you know, when you configure a radio into a power supply like that. The Tiki Bar rig up there with that Motorola is on its second or third power supply, and it's using one of those Meanwell Chinesium power supplies, and for the most part it does pretty well. But those power supplies do not. I get about maybe a year, give or take, out of a power supply in that environment. So it could be the humidity and the dew and the heat and the cold.
Maybe a little dust.
It could be that that's just what you're going to get out of those power supplies anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure. But one of these days, I'll find a real nice Astron or Triplite or a quality power supply to put up there on the Tiki Bar radio.
I think we know a guy.
Yeah. I just 100 things to do, and that's 99. But, but yeah. But good stuff, Jim. And you're right; those power supplies can make the difference, and that's a whole other topic. We could spend an evening talking about the differences between switching and linear power supplies. But the form factor of a mobile radio as a base is pretty convenient. Julie had made mention of a couple of console-style base radios. Let me break. Doing research for Julie's tips, there was a Motorola console radio, and this thing is probably a 100-watt radio. It's just a massive radio that would occupy a significant portion of a desktop. The way that its chassis was built, it's built like a TKR 850. It's about that size. It didn't have rack ears on it, but it was big enough that it probably could very easily be mounted in a rack that way. But it has a face panel that, with numbers and buttons and a display with channel numbers, and it's a 19 probably 80s era radio, but they're still readily available and they're not that expensive.
What was it called?
It's the I would have to go back and look at Julie's tips to see. And if anybody
is it this one right here?
Wants to know.
Astro XTL 5000.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay.
If anybody wants to know, you could always go back and replay Julie's tips from earlier in the YouTube live stream to find out exactly what radio that is. But it looks like Mike's going to Google that and.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty large form factor.
It is.
Now the other radio that I thought was interesting, I found on eBay, was a Realm, RELM, UHF base radio, and I believe it was a 450 to 470 band split on that Realm, and I think it was $300 or I don't remember how much it was. So those kind of radios are out there, and if you really wanted that form factor of a base radio, they can be found, they can be had, but I really like the idea of taking a mobile radio and turning that into a base with just simply adding a power supply to it. And there's neat ways to do that, and there's other ways to do that, and we've got a combination of all that here. So
you could even throw it in a ammo can.
You sure could. You could build that into an ammo can and have a very portable rig. You get one of those great big 50 caliber ammo cans, put a car battery in it, and
there you go.
You could let that thing. You got to get the kids to carry it around for you though, because I'm just a spectator.
I think there's a direct correlation between the weight of the radio and the make of the radio, how well it's made. They just have a little beefier weight to them, and they just feel better in your hand as an HT or as a mobile. They're just they're built.
Yeah, even the plastic case that these radios are in just has a different feel about it than some of these inexpensive Chinese radios. And plastic is plastic for the most part, but underneath that plastic, you may have more plastic, or you may have and a cast aluminum frame. So it all just depends. Let me break.
Chuck says you need more volume.
All right, and with that, let's see. We just spoke with Jim. Let's continue on, and we'll go to Atlanta 849 Pamela in Duluth. Pamela, do you have any questions or comments about base radios or mobile radios? All right, we'll go ahead and show Pamela as in and out. And with that, we'll continue on. That is the end of the roster with the exception of a few YouTube check-ins. Mike, while I'm doing this, you want to scan through the comments and see if there's anything that we want to bring to the conversation.
Sure.
We have WSGV861 Colin in Hiram, Georgia, is a guest check-in tonight. And this is Atlanta 379 Scott in Sandy Creek, New York. Atlanta 379. Thanks for checking in from Sandy Creek, Scott. We have Chattanooga 181 Joseph in Cleveland. Excuse me. We have WSER 682. Zion is a guest check-in on YouTube. We have Gainesville 58 Jonathan in Oakwood on YouTube. Atlanta 785 Rick in Marietta on YouTube. WSGU 965 Rob, doesn't say where Rob's from, but he's a guest user on YouTube. Columbus 25 Peter in West Point. Atlanta 420 William in Roswell, and McDonough 61 Blake in Locust Grove are all YouTube check-ins. Did you have any comments that we want to discuss on air?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Folks chiming in with the base station that they're using. Our friend Larry, who joins from out in Colorado, I think he just signed off, but he'd left a comment that his base is a Motorola XPR 4550. It's a mobile with a Radio Shack DC power supply that he uses in the house, and he wants to get a Moto 5550E. Then we've got Scott, who I think you got out of the log just now. He uses a TK8180H and a KG1000G, so he's got two base radios. And then we had one from Chuck. Chuck says, where are you, Chuck? Chuck says Kenwoods or ICOMs are solid radios. He says Motos are pretty solid as well, but proprietary and can be expensive.
Yeah, a lot of people, me included, are a little bit challenged by programming Motorola radio. Whereas the Kenwood radios, the software, once you get the right software for the radio, you get the right programming. That's the big challenge with the Kenwood radio. Once you've got that, the actual function of programming the radio really isn't all that different from Chirp. There's a lot of similarities between programming with Kenwood software versus Kenwood programming with Chirp. And because of that, it surprises me that there are not more radios that can be programmed, for Kenwood on Chirp. But it does seem like it's a little bit restrictive. Now, the new radios, the radios that come from Hobbit Communications, that software is locked up pretty tight. And so once that software is purchased, that software gets installed on a computer, and it is owned by that computer. So if that computer dies, and you think, well, I'm just going to go ahead and install this on another, no, you're not. You get to buy it again. So that becomes something that is a bit distasteful for consumers. I don't want to have to keep buying the software each time, because how often do you most of these Windows 10 machines that are here in Studio Vanguard are approaching end of life, and we're in conversations about replacing those and what the best options are for going forward with those. Do we just move on to Windows 11 and have to face end of life again within a couple of years? Or, well, the reality is that every couple of years you should be renewing your computers anyway. So that's probably what we'll do. We don't do that with these radios. These radios are decades old sometimes, and if they are decades old, there's a pretty good chance you can find the software and be able to program it. Let me break. But that's one of the downsides to the new Kenwood radios. The upside is that if you buy a radio from Hobbit Communications, it's programmed with all of the North Georgia GMRS repeaters, and it's programmed with many of the regional repeaters that surround us. So if you're heading up to South Carolina, if you're heading up into Tennessee, if you're heading over to Alabama, there's quite a large number of repeaters in various zones that are readily available. The other feature that these Kenwoods have is they have a zone that is kind of like a DIY zone. You can punch in that zone, and you can put a PL on the fly. So wherever you're traveling to, if you're traveling to some place and that repeater is not programmed into your radio, you can go into that DIY zone, and you can pull up the frequency that you're operating on, whatever that repeater might be, and then be able to punch in the PL for that repeater and be able to operate while you're there. Turn the radio off and back on. It goes back to its default program. Whatever you've modified in that zone goes away. But as long as you're operating in that zone for that day, you're good. So that is one of the benefits of that. So you don't really have to program the radio each time you travel. You can kind of program it on the fly for that day. So, all right, that's the end of our roster once again. But there are two more that have jumped in here right at the end. We have Chattanooga 248 Matthew from Old Fort checking in on YouTube, and Atlanta 33 Tony in Lawrenceville checking in on YouTube, and we have WSDX 498 Mike is a guest from Lexington checking in on YouTube. Those are the check-ins that we have. We do have the obligation for late check-ins, don't we?
We do. Late check-ins and any comments.
So let's go ahead and open up the floor for late check-ins. Any additional questions or comments? Net Control standing by.
Atlanta 849 comment.
Says WRXH279 Chattanooga 118 mobile and listening to the net. This is Chattanooga 248 WSFT 846. I've got a comment when check-ins are over.
This is WSFH294 Gainesville 420 checking in and checking out.
Room 27 was YouTube. Brand is YouTube.
This is WSGI 535, Atlanta 33, Tony checking in.
This is WRUZ 979, Chattanooga 97. This is Aaron in Cleveland.
All right, let's go ahead and acknowledge this round of check-ins. Oh, yeah, I can get it. We have Chattanooga 118 Stewart in East Ridge is in and out. We have a YouTube check-in from Rome 27 Terry in Menlo is in and out. Gainesville 420 Nick in Oakwood is in and out. Atlanta 33 Tony in Lawrenceville is in with us tonight. Chattanooga 97 Aaron also in tonight. And we have comments from Atlanta 849 Pamela in Duluth. I understand there might have been some interference when we called on her. So we'll come back to Atlanta 849 here in just a few minutes. And comments from Chattanooga 248 Matthew in Old Fort. So with that, let's go next.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Let's go to Chattanooga 118 first. I may have gotten his check-in wrong. He said he was listening. Stuart didn't say in or out, but let's give him the chance.
Stuart, do you have any questions or comments for tonight's net? We're talking about base and mobile radios.
I may have goofed on that one.
WS LFR 920, Atlanta 306, checking in.
Okay. Well, Stuart may not be there.
All right, Atlanta 306. George, we've got you in the log. We'll come to you here in just a moment. Chattanooga 118. Stuart, are you there? Do you have any comments for the net?
Hey, the only comment I have is if you're building radios in boxes, make sure you account for ventilation because those things can get hot. Back to you.
That's a good point.
That's an excellent point. And, active ventilation, passive ventilation, some way of moving heat in that's generated in the box, moving that heat out of the box is a consideration that you should make. A radio that monitors won't make near as much heat as a radio that is being used to transmit on. But nonetheless, if you box that thing up real tight, even monitoring, it'll get hot. So that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that to us, Stuart. And with that, we'll continue on with Atlanta 33 Tony in Lawrenceville. Tony, you have any questions or comments about base radios or mobiles? All right. Tony may have been in and out. We're going to go ahead and show him that way and continue on with Chattanooga 97, Aaron in Cleveland. Aaron, any comments? All right, we're going to go ahead and show Aaron as in and out and keep right on moving. Atlanta 306, Chuck. Chuck, where did that come from? I'm looking right at it. It says George.
It says George.
As it could possibly say. Atlanta 306, George in Loganville. George, do you have any comments for the net? I'm sorry about that. All right, we're down to our comments section. We have Atlanta 849 and Chattanooga 248. So let's go to Pamela first. Atlanta 849. Pamela, did you have a comment for the net?
Well, I know I was the last one on the roster, and then there was some kind of interference, and I didn't know if you called me or not, that I heard the last call. So, yes, we've had a multitude of radios between the base and the car, and started out with the B-Tech. That didn't do too good. Midland. That didn't work out for where we're at, so we ended up with a Wushin, and that went in my car and turned out to be the G1000 Plus, and has worked out wonderful in the car, not in the house, but we finally landed on the Anytone D578, and we do have the separate speaker with that. Makes a big difference inside and in the car. So we did end up with that finally, and then we also have a Kenwood TMV71A in the car now also. But all in all, we're glad with who we ended up with, and what a interesting net, and I really enjoyed it, and send it back to you guys.
Oh yeah, that the Kenwood was that that was the TM. That's an amateur radio, 2 meter probably. I think I have one of those, or at least one very similar to it. I opted for a Kenwood and an Anytone in my truck, and I think the Anytone might be coming out. I think a Kenwood's going to go back in where the Anytone is. I just, the Anytone is okay, but it just doesn't sound that good to me, and I have to fiddle with it way too much. I want a radio that's just ready to go to work, and the Kenwood, as soon as it sees power, it comes up and it just works. So probably going to be pulling the Anytone out at some point along the way and making that change. I may end up having to change the antenna too. I've got that tri-band antenna on there, but that seems silly with a monoband radio.
Is it the Comet 2x4 SR? No, the Comet 333.
Yeah.
It'll do 220.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
But and that's what the Anytone is capable of, but I like I say, I don't think I'm going to keep that radio in the truck. That's probably going to live in a box or something. I don't know. Maybe somebody can buy it. But yeah, that sounds like some great radios in your application, and especially the Kenwood. Those are that's where to be. With that, let's continue on with Chattanooga 248 Matt in Old Fort. He had a comment. Let's go ahead and see what Matthew has for us.
This is Chattanooga 248. I guess it'll be a lengthy comment, but if you'll listen to it, I'll tell you.
Let's have it.
So, on the Kenwood radios, I actually just now posted another picture of my base setup. It's a TK790H for the public safety stuff, with a VTEC power supply in the middle and a Kenwood TK160 on top. That's what I'm talking on now. But they're both going into a Comet duplexer to the same antenna, and both of them work for me for the most part. Let me break. Mobile setup, I've got an old Motorola Astro Spectre 110 watt VHF in one of my vehicles. That it's a great radio. It'll talk circles around these Kenwoods, but you've got to have a Windows 98 or older computer to program it, so when something happens to it, it's just gone.
Oh, damn.
The programming software is so much easier on the Kenwood side. It's so much more user-friendly for me. Doesn't matter which model until you get into a P25 radio. The Kenwood stuff's kind of complicated then. Let me break one more time. But not taking away from any of the Kenwood stuff. I've had real good luck with all of it, but that old antique Motorola will just talk when none of the rest of them will. And that's all I had. Back to you.
Wasn't that a Motorola Astro that we looked at for a base station from Julie's Tips?
Yeah, it was. The Astro XTL 5000.
Yeah, so, and that was probably also a 100-watt radio. I don't know for sure, but you would have to, hopefully in the programming You can, I don't know on Motorola what you can do, but I would assume on a radio like that you can tune it down. I know that on our 100-watt UHF base radios for data radio on the railroad, those radios are 100-watt radios, and they can be tuned all the way down to about 30 watts. And typically we run them at around 40.
Okay.
So we're running them, at about half of what they want to be. So we get a lot of life out of those radios. In fact, those things are very rarely are they a problem. And here's what's crazy is we finally get a data radio network that's solid as a rock, and we're dismantling it as fast as we can.
Oh no!
And throwing junk radios in place of it. So, but that's how the railroad works. But those are all, well, not all. Most of that data radio network is Motorola. Some of it is GE. The MDS GE radios. That's a 5-watt radio. And the way that it comes to us, we have an upfitter that attaches that 5-watt radio and a 50-watt amplifier in a frame. And it all comes with a custom-made wiring harness for power, and it's got the little pigtail between the 5-watt radio and the kicker. And, it's just funny to me that here we are using. And they look just like the old kickers from CB days. They look exactly like that.
Wow.
They're just ridiculous. But anyway, those sound like solid radios. I know back in my truck driving days, I drove a cement truck about 100 years ago, and they had 100-watt VHF radios in them. And that radio was mounted behind the seat in the, these were front discharge mixers, so you kind of sat right underneath the drum in that narrow little cab, and so the radio took up the entire space behind the seat. It was
that big?
It was mounted to that back wall, and it was huge.
Wow.
It was probably equivalent in size to the Astro that you looked up just a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Except it's attached with flanges to them.
You heated your lunch, right?
You could heat your lunch on them. Yeah, it was ridiculous. You had all that energy being generated right behind your head. So, fantastic for RF.
Yeah, I'm sure there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but good stuff, Matthew. I appreciate your comments tonight, and we've got one more YouTube check-in behind that. That was WRWY 456 Dave in Rogersville, Missouri. So thanks for hanging out with us tonight, Dave. That kind of brings us right here towards the end of things.
That is the end.
Let me see if I can find that page where I'm supposed to say some things. I think we're going to wrap this one up. Let me break. So this concludes the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we had a total of
74.
74 chickens, including myself. Net control will now be returning the repeaters back to normal use. Everyone who signed in should sign out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, comments on the YouTube video shows engagement and helps the video and our channel to grow. Thanks for allowing us to serve as your net control this evening. Good night, everyone. This is Atlanta 946, WQYR 514. My name is Justin.
And this is WRWM 344, Blue Ridge 63. My name is Mike.
And this is WSAL 368, Atlanta 263. I'm Rogers.
And this is WRUB 711, Atlanta 519. My name is Gary.
We are North Georgia GMRS Network.
And we are clear.
Good night, folks.
Hey! you.